Leaders and healers, gamers and claimers, ladies and gentlemen from around the universe, from around the globe, from around the community, welcome to the Power, Purpose, and Passion podcast. I am your host, Anthony Cheam, speaker, life coach, author, trainer, musician, singer, songwriter, friend to you, podcast host, and ready to give to you the best of what I've learned, earned, returned into this beautiful world, this beautiful universe, this beautiful blessing, bountiful life that I've been given, so you can claim your power, clarify your purpose, cultivate your deepest, widest, and highest passions possible, ultimately inspiring others to do the same, because you know what, that's what life's all about. Upgrading your life, enhancing your life, advancing your life, so you can then give your life everything you've learned, earned, and then you can return it to the world, because anything that you give away, you keep forever. Anything that you keep and you fail to give, you lose for a lifetime. And so that's what it's all about. Thank you for joining us on this podcast. Cameron, what's up, man? How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. It's a good day. It is a Thursday.
It is a good day. It is a Thursday.
The weather's getting beautiful.
Thriving Thursdays,
loving the
man.
sun.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
for sure. And
Yes.
I guess, you know, we're calling this mastering one virtue or
Yes.
something along those lines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think it is very, very important to take it one step at a time.
Yeah.
I feel like we've
man.
both learned the fact that you can't really, I can't learn a new language, learn a new instrument, learn how to do yoga, learn how to ride a bike, and learn how to scooter all at once. Yeah. Is that what the show is about, or is it more like, I'm just curious about where you were going with the title?
Yeah. Okay. Well, the idea of this is, let me preface this with, I'm going through a lot in my life, like a lot of I'm being pulled in many different directions right now, business, personal, everything, stress,
all at once.
All at once. All of a sudden, it's like a storm, right? Like a crazy storm that's happening in my life. And I've always taught that anytime there's anything like that happening, you have to revert back to going back to fundamentals. Fundamentals of psychology, fundamentals of spirituality, fundamentals of peak performance. And one of the fundamentals when I first started this journey in my early 20s was this idea of mastering one principle or practice or one virtue at a time. Basically, a virtue, I mean, the definition, I was looking this up the other day, a virtue, the definition in the English dictionary is one that is moral excellence, goodness, or righteousness. And I can tell you right now, I used to do this. I would put in my phone one virtue that I would practice for a whole month, either 30 days or 31 days. And on the first of the next month, I would practice another virtue. Anything from patience to love to calmness to right speech, whatever it was. And this month I said, you know what, let's go back to fundamentals. And so on April 30th, I decided that I would practice calmness and centeredness, which was started yesterday, May 1st in the morning. And my meditation was fully predicated, fully focused in on practicing and mastering calmness and centeredness in the midst of a storm. You know, it's that metaphor of a hurricane. Right? You got a hurricane going on, but at the center of the hurricane, the eye of the hurricane, there's calmness. No matter how bad the hurricane is, there's always that center, the eye of the hurricane. The deeper you go into the waters, the less the storm can hit the depth of the waters. There's always a calmness at the bottom of the ocean that doesn't get touched by the surface storms that are happening. So that's sort of the metaphor I use. And so I thought I use this as an opportunity, not as a problem. I shifted my mindset from this being a huge problem with being pulled in many different directions to I can use this as an opportunity to practice calmness and centeredness. So the past 2 days have actually been quite amazing. I've been reaffirming to myself calmness, centeredness, and clarity. Those are some of my 3 power words that I use throughout my whole entire day, and I breathe power into those words: centeredness, calmness, clarity, and I filter my focus onto those 3 words. And by filtering my focus and my mind to those 3 words, I inculcate it, I embody it. And then what happens is I feel better, I feel centered, I feel calm, I have clarity. I'm able to handle each demand with much more calmness, centeredness, and clarity. So I'm not being overwhelmed, like, oh my God, and I make rash decisions,
so
right?
It's almost like rather than pulling out every tool in your tool belt, physiology, focus, language, all this stuff. You could just sit there and be calm for a moment. And I think that's really powerful, because I think out of that calmness comes more rational decisions to make, more more, what's the word, like genuine, sort of from the heart, because rather than all this mental noise that happens when you're trying to solve a problem and solve a problem.
Yes.
I forget who said this, but I just kept like hearing it. Maybe it's a cliche, I can't remember, but the idea that you can't solve a problem with the very thing that created the problem. And many times all this stress just comes from the mind, and we're trying to use the mind to get rid of the stress when the stress was created by the mind. So it's like trying to put a fire out with a flamethrower. Can't do that. So I think it's good to like break that pattern with centeredness, right?
Yeah. And it's like pole vaulting over mouse turds. And when you're right, and no, that's exactly it, right?
Best example.
Yeah, right. No, but really, because at the end of the day, there is no stress. It's only our perceptions that stress exists. And so if we're in a state of duress and we're overwhelmed, like even the word overwhelmed or overloaded gets us in a state. So if we don't describe our stresses as overwhelmed, this is overwhelming, you just go, all right, calmness, centeredness, clarity. And I just repeat that. I breathe life into them. And then I embody what those mean to me. I'm able to look at those various demands one at a time with total calmness, centeredness, and clarity. I'm able to handle it. But if you're stressed out, you turn something small into something big. You get what I mean?
Absolutely.
So you know what I'm saying? And you're trying to pole vault over mouse turds when you really didn't need the pole vault. All you need to do is center yourself, calm yourself.
Sweep it
up. Sweep it up. I tell you, there's a great poem. And I won't read the whole poem because it's a super long poem, but I'll read. It's called "The Majesty of Calmness" by William George Jordan. And one of the lines in it was this. He says, "When the gray heron is pursued by its enemy, the eagle, it does not run to escape. It remains calm, takes a dignified stand, and waits quietly, facing the enemy unmoved. With a terrific force with which the eagle makes its attack, the boasted king of birds is often impaled and run through on the quiet lance-like bill of the heron. The means that man takes to kill another character becomes suicide of his own." But the point of the matter is, you got to remain. So the next 30 days, I'm going to do my very best to master calmness, centeredness, and clarity. Calmness is the number, just to remain calm in the midst of a storm. And I've discovered just in the past, 36 hours that, wow, how much my clarity has been enhanced. I'm able to look at things as they are without becoming too reactive to those things. And because of that, I'm able to handle my stress and turn stress into a benefit for me. And I'll go, oh, this is another opportunity to practice calmness. So stress to me equals an opportunity to practice calmness, a virtue of calmness.
I forget where I heard this as well. I'm really bad with that. I just hear things everywhere. But I remember somebody said that even just having a word for something like depression or stress makes it more likely for us to have. When you put some sort of label or definition onto something, you start looking out for that very thing, right? Almost like close your eyes and tell me everything in this room that's red, as Tony Robbins would say. Yeah. And then you open your eyes and and try to look for green. And you know what I mean? Yeah. The idea that you get what you focus on, you get what you have a word for at this point. Yeah. So if you're constantly like, I don't want to be stressed, I don't want to be over that, resisting all these feelings doesn't help. But when you sit there and you say the words clarity, calm,
yes,
acts, you say these words, we all have associations to that. Start looking for that give you realize up right now.
Yeah.
I actually breathe full, sit back in my, or whatever it might be.
Yes.
You realize that, whoa, there is a lot of the opposite of these words going on right now. And it's time to go in that direction.
Yeah. Well, yeah, it's funny, Kev. You mentioned that, and on Instagram, one of the Instagram posts I did this week was, nothing is making you feel that way. It's you who chooses to give into that feeling. So once you notice these feelings of stress or angst or anxiety arise, it's you that chooses to be a victim to that, to fall victim to that. But you can also choose to be calm, to use anxiety and stress as an opportunity to practice calmness. Because how else can you learn these virtues of patience, of perseverance, of peace and calmness and equanimity and harmony and love and compassion? You're not going to learn those things when things are easy. You have to practice those things when things are tough. It's like building muscle. You don't build. I was explaining this to a client the other day. You don't build muscle by lifting the light weights when it's easy. You build muscle when you put those muscles against weight that you've never done before, and it hurts. It hurts. And so I practice calmness in those most crazy moments when my ego's trying to control everything. I'm like, oh, there I go again. Calmness, centeredness, clarity. And I imagine this light just shining inside my heart, my body, my bones, my cells, and just emanating this light. And when I center myself in that, I look at the very thing that's demanding, and I'm like, it's not that big a deal. And then I'm able to just walk through it, navigate myself through it, be flexible in my response, and respond with calmness and clarity, not with fear. And anytime, right? So
when you say it's a chance for you to practice patience, chance for you to practice, that's really just what it is. Because a lot of people are like, oh, this is a terrible moment. But when you look at it as a chance to practice what you've been learning, I think that's extremely, extremely powerful. If you never had that chance to practice, if you never went to the gym, you never practiced guitar, never tried riding a bike, never learned how to do these things, you would never master those quote unquote virtues. So that is huge. That is huge to look at it that way.
And I wanted to share that. I wanted to share this because I'm going through it right now. Like I'm practicing it right now as we speak through the next 30 days until June 1st, and I'll practice another virtue.
And it's so simple. It's so simple. Like it's crazy how I like to remind myself that the ego, the human mind, this thing that never shuts up, is obsessed with complexity and diving into things and knowing more and just information and all this stuff. When if you take a step back, life really is extremely simple.
Yes.
And the answers to the happiness and peace and all that stuff we're looking for, pretty simple as well, right? It's just a matter of taking a step back, breathing, and we all have the answer within. I don't think, I mean, this is something I like to believe. I really don't think that we would be given a human life if there wasn't something within us that can solve the problems that come with being human.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like, we wouldn't be given legs unless we were given a way to walk, a way to learn how to walk. We wouldn't be given eyes without being able to see. Doesn't make any sense to have emotions and not have a way to manage them.
Yeah. Oh, agreed. Agreed. No, I think you about said it right. Using those examples of practicing guitar, you can't get better at guitar unless you practice. You can't get better at patience unless you're practicing patience. And people that start, I started playing guitar a couple of years ago, and my fingers were bleeding, and it's gonna hurt. It's gonna suck. It will suck when you first start working. It hurts when you first start, practicing patience and becoming more aware of that you got to practice patience. Like I remember one guy was telling me, he said, I do a similar thing that you do, Anthony, and here's what I do. The one day I was practicing patience, and I remember consciously choosing the longer line at the grocery store. And I'm like, that is awesome. He goes, I consciously chose the longest line to practice patience. And I'm like, wow. So he consciously said, he put himself in a position consciously, knowing full well he's in a hurry, but he's like, you know what? I'm here to practice patience, so why not throw myself into the fire, the flames of impatience, and practice patience while I'm impatient, right? So I thought that's a great way to do it. And so that's why I particularly chose calmness, because I haven't been calm lately. I've been thrown in many different directions, and it's like, wow, it's hard to focus, hard to concentrate. And I was even talking to my wife and just telling her about it, and she's like, you'll get through it. And I said, I will. And I just got to, again, and having practiced this virtue for the past 36 hours has really helped me streamline my focus, appreciate my life. And I know that when this is all said and done, and I'm telling you, the sun's going to come out, and I'm like, wow, I'm so much stronger, so much more loving, so much more patient, so much more calm. And I'm going to be able to achieve, experience, and live a better and more profound life. And that's what it's all about, right? You know what I'm saying there, Cam?
Yeah, absolutely. I think I'm going to do that too. It's funny. We do this podcast almost every day, and I only sometimes take action on what we're talking about. Honestly, because I don't know, I don't even think about it. But this idea sounds really good because it's something to put your focus on. You're planting a seed.
Yes.
By the end of the month, it's like your life is completely changed by this one simple thing. And so, two questions. What are some examples of virtue? Different kinds of people who are in different situations, who kinds of virtues, whether that be like yours with coming down, relaxing, entering your, while others might need get up and be productive and the total opposite. So for me anyways, I was thinking of not clinging on to the mind's demands on the way the world should be, just being completely aware of my expectations. That's what I want to do for the next 30 days. I want to try that because man, do I have so many expectations that take me out of enjoying what life is right now because I think it should be something else. So that's the one that I want to practice.
Good. Excellent.
And so I'm curious as to what examples you for others.
Yeah. I've done this. There's so many. There's courage. There is patience. There is calmness. There is honesty. There's truthfulness. There's forgiveness. Forgiveness is a big one, I think, but practicing where someone may not have said something to you or said thank you, and then you go, there I go again, judging the person. I choose to forgive myself for judging them. I choose to forgive the other person, taking a deep breath in, and then breathing that energy in, sending it to their way, sending it to yourself, and practicing that daily, just practicing forgiveness, little small forgivenesses, and calmness, clarity, courage. If you have a tough time following through, maybe courage should be your virtue. Persistence in the face of that part of you that doesn't want to follow through or take action. Virtues such as playfulness. Being more playful, I find that to be a big one. My kids teach me that every day, just to smile and to just have fun, because that's what it's all about, right? And sometimes I get so focused on my business and building this and building that and doing this and mastering that I need to be more playful. A humble heart, humility, right speech, silence. That's a big one, because remaining silent may not seem like a virtue, but silence and solitude, spending more time in nature by yourself without having a talk. I remember one guy I knew, he would spend in I think it was a few hours a day in silence. He had I forget, the Buddhists do, and even the Franciscan brothers do this, where they spend hours, days, weeks even not talking, and how much they learn from actually doing that, and how crazy they start to become hyper aware of their mind. So right speech, things like compassion, friendliness and kindness, anything like that. Pick one virtue. Could you imagine by the end of 1 year, you've basically practiced and mastered 12 virtues? That's amazing to me. Could you imagine you mastered all of those virtues in 1 year? Could you imagine how many upgrades, how much more calm and loving and appreciative and grateful you'd be, how much more less reactive you'd be? Oh my gosh. And it always comes back to fundamentals. Anytime you feel like you're being overwhelmed, go back to fundamentals. What do I need to practice in order to get myself not just out of overwhelm, but to use overwhelm to practice the virtue? Right? So that's what it's all about, you guys. And you know what? You probably noticed this, and I'm a lot more calm because I'm practicing calmness. I'm not the crazy Anthony as I normally am, but I'm practicing calmness and clarity and centeredness on this podcast, in everything I'm doing, my interactions with my wife and my business people and clients and whatnot. And I'm going to hopefully take this virtue for the next 30 days and beyond until it becomes unconscious. And then in the next virtue I'm going to practice. And maybe next month on June 1st, when we do this podcast, I'll kind of tell you what I'm doing on June 1st. Maybe we can take this journey together. So kudos to you people listening, and kudos to you, Cam, for also taking this journey as well and practicing that virtue. And we will definitely take this ride together, and we'll talk about it too. You know what I'm talking about, man?
I guess we could sort of like
keep each other accountable.
Recap it too. Like next month we'll be like, this is where I'm at and this is what I learned, with a whole month of centeredness, or a whole month of, I don't even know what to call mine. It's more or less just like not listening to that mind.
Yes.
Because
gentleness and awareness, and practicing
Yeah.
gentleness. That's a big one too. Gentleness on yourself, right?
For sure. Yeah. So, for those of you out there, I urge you to pick one thing, whatever that might be for you, because it could change the course of your life. One little thing, like just tell people the truth for the next month. See what happens.
Wow. Yeah.
Just try not to be in a hurry. Enjoy the moment. Be present for a month. Yeah. Don't beat yourself up. Be gentle with yourself. You don't need to be perfect. I'm sure Anthony isn't totally centered, calm, zen being every moment of his life, but that's his priority. That's what he's working on. So I definitely try that out, and we could wrap this up if you want.
Yes, definitely. Thank you guys for joining us. We'd love to hear from you. Comments, questions. Join us on iTunes. Give us a 5-star rating. We'd love to hear from you. And so to your continued upgrade and evolution, live it up with power, purpose, and passion. God bless you guys.